Hi, and welcome to the second video in our Big Beanie Project support. My name is Laura Kunitz, and I'm a knitting instructor at Jimmy Beans and the designer for this project. This is a mystery knit along. So if you don't want to have any clues whatsoever, then you're going to want to watch the first video, which just has the techniques. I was careful here. It's only going to show the first couple rows, but I think this will help get you started. Let's get going. I thought it might be helpful for us to knit the first few rows together, so that's what we're going to do, especially since we start with rather strange instructions which say wrap 2, knit 2 front and back. What in the world does that mean? Well, let me show you. We're going to take 2 stitches and slip them purlwise, move the yarn to the front, and slip them back. Now we're going to take the yarn around the front tip of the needle to get ready to work a knit stitch. See how that kind of wraps the stitches? Now we're going to work the knit 2 front and back, just like a knit 1 front and back, but with 2 stitches. Knit 2, kind of like a knit 2 together, leave it on the needle, go around to the back, and knit 2. Start with 2 stitches, end with 2 stitches. The next instruction is a make 1 loop, and then knit 2, and purl 2. Now, the next side is a wrong side row, and we're going to be doing a little shaping here with a knit 2 together as the first stitch, knit 3, so that was a decrease, and then when we get to our last 2 stitches in this pattern, we are always going to yarn over and then knit 2. So I had minus a stitch, plus a stitch. Now let's go back to the right side. We're going to do that wrap knit 2 together again, so here's a good opportunity to show it to you. I'm going to try it from not continental. Forgive me, I'm not as good at this. Okay? See, you can tell already, can't you? Okay, we're going to slip 2. Bring the yarn to the front, slip the 2 back again, bring the yarn around to the back. Now we're going to knit 2. See, there goes the yarn management. Leave it on the needle and knit 2 into the back. We're not going to pull that too tightly. We don't want to squish the yarn. And now here is a yarn over. So the next step in the instructions is knit 1 front and back. So we're going to knit 1 into the yarn over, leave it on the stitch on the needle, and knit into the back. That is an increase. There's your increase. And now we're going to knit 2 and purl 2. My apologies in my lack of knitting finesse when throwing. Okay, so here we are on wrong side row 4. We're going to knit 2 together, knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, purl 1, and then I'm always going to work to the last 2 stitches, yarn over and knit 2. So I happen to have only 1 more knit stitch. I'm going to yarn over, and then those 2 stitches that I have from the wrap are worked individually. So I knit 1 and knit 2. Let's take a closer look at this first repeat row, because I'd really like you to be able to recognize the pattern in your knitting and not have to read the instructions anymore. So as you can see, I'm starting with the wrap 2, knit 2 front and back, yarn over into the front and back. That's always going to be the same. Now you're going to knit into the last 4 stitches. Well, I only have 5 here since it's at the beginning. So there's the 1. This is going to grow over time because you're increasing stitches here. Now we're going to be working a knit 2 together. Notice how this slip stitch from the prior row is on the left. That's very important. I'm going to knit, yarn over, and purl 2. Those last 4 stitches are always the same. If you forget this part and you only knit 2 together and you get all the way to the end of the next round before you forget, an easy fix is when you're on the wrong side, if there's only 1 stitch here instead of 2 because you forgot to knit into the back loop part of it, just do a knit 1 front and back into that stitch. The basics of the wrong side row are also always the same. We're going to start with a knit 2 together, decrease. This very first partner stitch, yarn over to the knit 2 together from the prior row, we do not want an eyelet here. So in this case, we will always knit through the back loop to close it up. And then the next stitch is a slip 1. The slip 1 is the knit 2 together from the prior row. So slip 1 and purl 1. Whenever you slip a stitch, you purl the next stitch. And then the rest of the pattern is knit into the last 2 stitches. Knit 1, knit 2, yarn over, and there's your 2 wrap stitches. I wanted to review this next 2 rows with you because as I've been kind of test teaching this at Jimmy Beans, some people have had a question with it. I now have 19 stitches on my needle. You can see the pretty nubby edge with the very well-defined eyelets. This is the Showy Decrease right here. Now you can see how much it really stands up. So when I work this next row, if I can grab my yarn, we're going to start as usual with knit 2 together, knit 1 through the back loop, slip 1, and purl 1. There are now 14 stitches left on this wrong side row. And so the directions are going to tell you how to work these 14 stitches. Okay, so you're going to knit 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that of course means that you have 2, 4, 6 stitches left. All right, so this is how a new line of that Showy Decrease element will be added. Okay, you're going to slip 1 with yarn in front and purl 1. Those are the 2 stitches that relate to the other side of the knit 2 together. Now, as always, you're just going to knit to the last 2 stitches, yarn over and knit 1 and knit 2. Now on the other side, you just want to make sure that you remember that there's an additional line of Showy Decreases. Bring that around to the front. Knit into the front, knit into the back, knit into the front, knit into the back, knit 1. Now I'm hoping that you can start as you're knitting this to recognize where you will be working the knit 2 together. So as I look ahead, I can see there's that slip stitch. So I'm going to knit 1 more, because remember on the next rows, there's going to be more stitches here because you've increased. There that is. There's the knit 2 together, yarn over, and continue on. Okay, so now you've started another line of this decorative element here, and as this one shows easily, you will find that this one will stand out and show also. So what's going to happen next? Well, there's 2 things. You're going to be changing colors soon, and you will also be increasing the number of stitches in between a section. We need to, I'm going to just back up here for a minute so we can talk about this. Okay. A section is the number of stitches in between the 2 showy lines. right? You remember we just had 8 garter stitches in between here. In order to shape the project, you will be adding a knit 1 front and back right here next to this line whenever there are 20 showy decreases. We're going to count them like by counting these big steps here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. When you have 20 of these, you will add a stitch here. When you have 20 of these, you will add a stitch here. All right, so the number of stitches is going to increase in this section. All right, I don't want to give any more away in the pattern, but I hope this gives you a good idea. We gave you a challenging project for this big beanie because we know Jimmy Beans knitters like new techniques. I'd love to have each of you sit down in the classroom with me, but since I can't, just send me an email and I'd be glad to help.